Alex from.
Okay.
I shot you an email about doing an interview today, and just want to get something out there on our website for any customers that might come across my page. And I was wondering if maybe just get right into it here. How many years have you been with Therasauna?
Over 30 years.
Oh wow. Okay. I had no idea. It's a long time. All right. And so I had a couple questions, that I hear so often from my customers. So I kind of wanted to get your perspective, since you're probably one of the more knowledgeable individuals I know in the industry, for sure, and been around the longest. So there's a lot of confusion around usually carbon and ceramic all the time. One person says another, and another company says this or that. Is there really any way to kind of have like a definitive way to prove carbon claims or ceramic claims in terms of what has better infrared or more fluence or something like that? Yeah, I guess.
Okay, well, really, it comes down to when I present Therasauna as a product line, and I will offer my manufacturer specs of my solid ceramic thermometers to show that they're made to produce a certain micron output.
Oh, okay.
Then I then challenge whoever else is promoting whatever they're promoting to do the same. I mean, where's their manufacturer specs to say what they're actually made to produce? The other issue is I say my solid ceramic thermometer is basically 3/8-inch glass, and what's the other product being made of? Show them the manufacturer specs of what it's actually made of, and it does make a difference.
Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, getting the manufacturer's specs, and assuming that, say, a customer can even do that, or if they can get that, are they able? Do you think they could trust what the actual spec that's sent over? They can just trust what's handed to them?
Well, I mean, there's always ways to mislead people in some ways, but you got to start somewhere,
right?
And try to make a good evaluation, a good judgment on it. If they can't give you any specs whatsoever, what's that tell you? I mean, they're not reliable at all. Right. So I start with getting the specs, and then if you see the specs and you have questions on them, question them. Okay. That's. I always like to have proof. Show me proof. Same here.
That's what we're all about at the site, transparency. So, okay, that's very helpful. Another question, too, I hear a lot is, just trying to find the right wood type. Most people keep their saunas indoors nowadays, so it's not usually out exposed to the elements. And, of course, some people have, allergies to certain woods, certainly. I think that most people can kind of figure that out, what may or may not work with just allergies. But today it seems like every brand is getting, Canadian wood. And, I mean, is there a way to, help me out here. I mean, is there a way to find out, if some paneling is better than another, or is there any way that I can find out if, what's actually in between, if there's particle board in the center or anything like that? I mean, is there anything else I need to watch out for in terms of what kind of wood type to get?
Well, again, I go back to Therasauna uses a aspen wood that's non-toxic, non-allergenic. I'm willing to give all kinds of wood reports from wood industries to back that up. You will not find anything anywhere that's negative about using an aspen wood. Competitors use, or whether it may be hemlock or cedar, you will find negative comments or negative reports on those woods. Again, you have to make a decision if that's good, bad, or in between. I do know that there's 2% of the population that is so chemically sensitive they could not get in a cedar sauna, but they could get in an aspen sauna. So there's something to it. It's up to retail customer to decide how important it is to them. Okay? And as far as what's the most important thing is what wood is on the interior of the sauna. That's where you are. That's where your infrared is. That's what would maybe help gas the wood off on the surface of the interior of the sauna. What's on the outside doesn't really matter, whether wood is stained, whether it's painted, whether you got carpet outside, whether you got painted walls, it don't matter. That's on the outside of the sauna. But again, that's a preference to the retail customer.
Okay. So what do you mean by like non-toxic? I mean, like on the inside of the sauna, like, is that, I don't know, I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around, can really sitting on wood be toxic for you, different types of wood?
Well, definitely. Just think of cedar hope chest, cedar drawers that give off a natural toxic terpene that eliminates moths and spiders in the cedar hutches, drawers, closets, or whatever.
Right.
Well, there's something there
right.
that is not good.
Right.
Okay, as obvious. Okay. Now, is it going to harm the average adult human? Probably not. But it's there, and it's up to you to determine what is bad and what is not good for you. We're just trying to provide the very best we can get our hands on, and that's why we use aspen.
And is there any way to find out, because I know a lot of these, prefab, companies out there, they all get them, a lot of times from the same manufacturers or whatever. Is there any way to actually tell about, what I worry about a lot is particle board being used with all the adhesives and stuff in the center. Is there actually a way other than ripping up your own sauna to be able to tell, what a company, what other types of wood they might be using?
No, because I sell against the overseas market because you never know what's going to come across the ocean. And the example I give is, if the billion-dollar companies have had issues over there of their quality control can't control it, how can $1 million company control it?
Wow.
So you really can't. But it still comes down to what wood is in the inside of the sauna itself. That's where you are.
Yeah.
That's where you're sitting. They could have some glues or adhesives on the outside of the sauna or the interior between walls and stuff, and it really isn't going to make that much difference.
Okay.
A difference, no doubt, but that's not where the infrared is, and that's
right.
not where you're sitting.
Right.
But that's why we build in the United States. I can control that.
Okay. Have you ever heard anything about different types of panels, carbons or ceramics or whatever? Obviously they all have different types of fluence and intensity to them. But have you ever heard anything about different types of panels being more therapeutic or helping to get a better detox or a different kind of sweat? Like instead of a really watery sweat, maybe a little bit more an oily sweat. Have you ever actually seen any sort of?
This, in reference to that, to some degree, is that if you get to the correct micron output that the studies say is the most beneficial, which is at a 9.4 micron output, that's the measurement of the light wave, far infrared light wave. When it gets to that length, that's when it's going to penetrate the deepest. That's when it's what they call resonate, breaks up the water molecules deep in the joints and muscles. And so if you get to that range consistently, you're going to get rid of more impurities, toxins, because it's going to go 1.5 inches to 2 inches deep. If you're only at maybe a 5 or 6 micron output, you may be only going 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch deep. All good stuff, but not as good as 1.5 inches to 2 inches.
Sure.
So, you're going to get a different sweat, mainly because of what type of micron output you're going to get. That's where the studies are, as they're referring to this 9.4.
Yeah.
Not at 4 microns or not at 20 microns. It's at 9.4.
Okay. And that actually kind of leads in. Actually, your response kind of leads into the next question, which was, again, it kind of goes back to the carbon ceramic debate again. I have a lot of companies are claiming and confusing customers, about their carbon heaters reaching 9 microns. I know that ceramics in general, will reach up closer to that range. Is it possible for carbons to reach that kind of range? And I mean, is there another way to prove if it does or it doesn't?
Well, everybody can make the claim that their source, whether it's ceramic, rod, solar carbon, they all can make the claim to get the 9.4. Because in the bell curve of electrical input and output, it'll reach that 9.4 for minute seconds, getting there or coming back. But if it's made to produce 5 to 6 microns, that's what it's going to consistently produce. The difference is that Therasauna has a patented system that'll controls the electrical input to the solid ceramic emitter that's made to get to this 9.4, so it consistently get there. No one else in the industry can control their electrical input. All they have is on and off. They have no control. They're not producing anything bad. They're just not able to get to this optimal level the whole time you're in the sauna.
I understand. So a lot of that has to do with what's that term, like radiant efficiency or something. So a lot of it has to do with the conversion of electricity or watts in the panel, how much of that's being converted to infrared. And then the only way to control that partially is with the electrical flow, basically.
That is correct.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. All right. And then again, I could ask for a manufacturer's spec for the panel, and it should in the spec, from a company, be also talking about, what it's been built for generally, for what kind of micron range. Okay.
Right.
That's helpful. All right. This one, I wonder about a lot. Next question, because just from kind of working in the industry myself, I have a hard time again wrapping my mind around that. Some of these panels sitting on the front of saunas, it seems like it's a great distance away. Usually the ones that are by the doors, basically. I can understand having your back up against, a whole wall of panels. That makes sense to me. It's right there, right next to the body. But, I don't know, because this is one thing I haven't looked at in the research, but is it possible really for a carbon or a ceramic, like a couple feet away from or larger from in front of them on the front side of a sauna to be able to actually give enough fluency and infrared to hit the front side of somebody's body?
Okay, well, you're correct. The farther away you get from the source, the weaker the infrared ray gets. Okay, but Therasauna, we have them in the front walls. Okay, on each side of the glass door, and your body, torso of your body is sitting back away from the wall. But what about your knees? Your knees right real close to those emitters. Then everybody's got bad knees. I love getting my knee from that emitter. It just goes right to the soreness, the stiffness, and it just feels great. But even though it gets a little weaker, it's still there. It's better to have some coming at you than none. Right. Okay. So we think it's a good sell, or a good thing to have them coming throughout both ways in the sauna itself.
That's a good point too. I didn't think about that the legs would be a lot closer, and I know there's a lot of lymphatic channels and stuff like that in the legs. So you benefit from that. Okay, all right, makes sense. What about carbon though? Is there do you happen to know if there's if ceramic or carbon, which one actually can maybe send rays, infrared rays further? Has that ever been speculated?
No, I really don't have a feedback on there. I can't give you an honest feedback on that. I really don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there the other thing too that I hear a lot from my customers is, they get really confused on price point of some saunas out there. And from my experience in the industry, a lot of these brands are out there. I mean, some of them anyways are seem a little overpriced. Because I know where they're manufactured. I do a lot of digging and research. Is there like an easy way or any sort of simple way that a customer could maybe, it might give them a red flag or warning if a sauna is overpriced? Is there some way to tell if it's majorly inflated, like the price point?
No, that's a hard one to kind of answer. There is no surefire way. There's a lot of good sauna companies out there.
Right.
I'm an owner of Therasauna, so I'm going to be partial and say I love Therasauna. It's one of the best, or not the best, bar infrared sauna on the market. But there's other good saunas out there, and by companies that have been around for a long time. But they still don't meet the bar as far as competing with Therasauna. But but there's other companies out there that you should be careful with that haven't been around, and the quality of the sauna is just not there. And but again, that has to be researched a little bit about. I don't have a quick answer for you on that.
Okay, all right. So the other thing a lot of customers forget, and I try to guide them on, is checking out the warranty. Everybody gets so hyper focused on the sauna sometimes they forget about customer service and warranty. But at the same time, I know there's definitely it seems like the trendy thing I've noticed in the last few years is everybody offering some sort of lifetime warranty. And when I actually read the fine print, a lot of times there's a difference. Except for kind of some of the top brands out there, are all these other lifetime warranties that Saunas claim, some of these other brands, are they legitimate, or are they actually limited?
I think they're basically legitimate, other than lifetime in the court of law is 7 years.
Really?
So yeah. So anything after 7 years, they're not liable if they don't want to handle it to start with.
Wow.
So that's one thing to keep in mind.
Wow.
The other thing is if you have a lifetime warranty on something, the company goes out of business, there is no warranty. Or they disappear, or they change their name, or whatever. There is no warranty. Okay? As far as Therasauna, we've been in business for 48 years, manufacturing Therasauna for 18 years. And the guy who bought my first sauna 18 years ago, if he needs a part, I have it. No one in the industry can say that. No one's got that type of, customer service available.
Right.
So, again, you need to be careful who you buy from to a certain degree. But again, there's a lot of good sauna companies out there, and there's some that you need to do your homework on.
Yeah, and that puts me in sometimes a tricky position too. People ask me about certain sauna brands, and then I find out they've only been in business 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and they may do great saunas, but I always try to review things based on also the long term as well. And I mean, we don't know how those saunas will do years down the road, or just like what you said, how the company will, they'll still be in business. All right, and then actually I had a couple questions specifically about Therasauna. Actually, I think I actually just had one. Let me see, what was it? Oh yeah, when it comes to manufacturing and not assembling, because I know assembling and manufacturing are kind of technically two different words, two different meanings. But is there a real benefit, or is having something manufactured in the USA versus, I know a lot of saunas are manufactured in China or Japan. Is there a distinct sort of benefits to having it done in the USA? I mean, I know that one thing is labor costs are usually a lot higher in this country, and those get passed on usually to the customer. But yeah, I guess just, I don't know. What do you think about that?
being made in the USA does matter to a lot of people, just to support the U.S. manufacturing.
Right.
We feel that Therasauna is a quality product, for one thing, and we use all equipment, wood, ceramic thermometers, electronics made in the United States. And that's all that product, whether it's wood, whether it's emitters or electronics, is more expensive when it's made in the United States. So it's a channeling effect that goes down to a more expensive product, but it's a better product. And I couldn't sell Therasauna if it was just said made in the United States. So I can say it's made in the United States and it's the world's best far infrared sauna, and here's the reasons why. Boom, 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 boom. And now it has the value that it's given it value. So you can say, yeah, I'm proud to make it because it's made in the United States, but it's also the best far infrared sauna in the world. So, but I can't compete with labor markets and equipment and stuff that's made overseas. I can never do it, but I can have the best, and I do have that.
Right, yeah. One of the things that concerns me is overseas. I know that a lot of times, these really, really large manufacturing facilities, they kind of deal the big prefab and manufacture, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds at a time. I mean, I always wonder, there's got to be some sort of like shortcuts or something, to get those labor costs down, to make it more efficient to mass produce and sell to multiple companies. They must be making shortcuts somewhere.
Well, I give one of the examples I give is that you take the wood. I use 3/4 inch tongue and groove. Pretty much everybody else uses 1/4 inch or 3/8. My smallest Therasauna weighs, look on the chart here, 464 pounds.
Wow.
Everybody else's is weighing 250 pounds. There's a reason. My bench weighs 60 pounds. I sell it to weight loss clinics that have some very heavy people. It supports them. My competition, they have benches that weigh 6, 8, 10 pounds. Wow. A world of difference. Visually you can see it, weight-wise you can see it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make mine a better infrared sauna per se. It's the technology that makes it the best, but along with these other little issues, it just gives it, more credibility, more value.
I guess one more question, because I kind of went a little over the interview time here. If anybody's still listening in, I probably, the question just came to mind now, was the thing I hear a lot too, from a company I'm not going to mention, but they're marketing masters, that most people have heard of them. But a lot of people are, get very intrigued by the whole, full spectrum sort of concept. And they start to believe that they need full spectrum, infrared in their sauna, and it's going to be magical and amazing. Maybe it is, but what do you think about it? What do you know about that? Is that something that any companies actually have, or is it really important?
Okay, well, I go back to the studies and reports, and they all will say the vital rays that your body has any use for is between 4 and 14 microns. Some reports say 5 and 15 micron output. Near infrared only goes to 0 to 1.5. Middle infrared goes to 1.5 to 5.6. And far infrared goes to 5.6 to 1,000. Now, according to the studies, near infrared has no value to you. Okay? So, where are they getting this information saying you need to have this, that, and another, when it's telling you in the reports and study what the vital rays are? What we've done at Therasauna is we have a spectral wave program, again, because we can control the micron output, that systematically in a 30-minute session will go through the range of 1 to 15, just to cover the whole range. And visually, you can see it on the control, the MPS touch view control. every 2 minutes changing the electrical input to the solid ceramic thermometers to make different adjustments. Again, this is patented information and patented technology that nobody else has.
Wow.
So we address that issue, but again, you need to consider the reports and study and see what's really important and what really isn't.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, hopefully this should be. I learned a lot today, and hopefully my customers as well. It's very educational. I always learn a whole lot every time I talk to you. So I'm glad that we're able to actually get some of this recorded for the benefit of others as well. But thanks for taking the time today, and definitely be in touch. And maybe we'll have you back again on maybe another interview down the road.
Very good. Be happy to.
All right.
Alex, have a good day.
All right. Thanks so much, Larry. Take care.
Bye.